What's up, everyone? Did you think there was only one Earth? Did you think Superman was always the good old Kansas farm boy? Think again. In the DC universe, there are 52 known Earths and thousands of unknown ones where the destiny of our heroes can flip 180 degrees. Imagine a world where the Justice League are the cruelest villains, or where heroes fight crime in the Victorian era. Today, we're starting at ground zero and diving deep into the weirdest parallel worlds DC has ever created. If you want to know which Earth is the most dangerous, this is your complete multiverse atlas. Let's go. We're about to jump across worlds. All right, folks, before we check into this infinite hotel, we gotta ask a basic question. What is the multiverse and why is it even a thing? Imagine reality isn't just one river flowing in a single direction. It's like a prism that splits light into 1,000 different spectrums. In the DC universe, the multiverse means the existence of countless versions of one universe moving parallel to each other. Every decision you and I make creates a new universe. Now, picture that for superheroes. What if Superman's little spaceship landed 10 minutes later or on a different continent? What if, instead of Bruce Wayne's parents, Bruce himself was the one killed in that alley? These worlds were created so writers could test the limitless potential of a hero. Each Earth is identified by a number and has its own specific laws of physics, history, and even morality. In these 52 known Earths, we see versions of heroes who could be the nightmares of their original selves, or, conversely, even purer and more righteous. The truth is, the multiverse guarantees that no story ever hits a dead end. Because if Superman dies or gets old on Earth Zero, Prime Earth, he's just experiencing his first flight on another one. Today, you're going to learn how these Earths fit together like musical notes to create the symphony of existence that is DC. So buckle up, because we're about to cross the boundaries of imagination.
Earth Zero, Prime Earth. Our first stop, and the most important one on this atlas, is Earth Zero, or Prime Earth. This is the center of gravity for the entire DC multiverse. It's the world you're reading about when you open the main Batman, Superman, or Justice League comics. Earth Zero serves as the reference standard. Its heroes are the versions we all grew up with, and all other versions are compared to them. This Earth is essentially a combination of the best historical elements of DC following Flashpoint and Rebirth, forming a single continuity. On Earth Zero, Superman is the Kansas hero, Batman is the Knight of Gotham, and the Justice League is the planet's strongest line of defense. The strategic point about Earth Zero is that all major multiverse events, like the crises, always end up here or start here. If Earth Zero is destroyed, the fabric of the entire multiverse book is shattered. All 51 other Earths are, in some way, reflections or variations of this one. The people here have the most experience dealing with interdimensional invasions, and its heroes, especially Batman, always have plans to counter their evil counterparts from other Earths. Earth Zero is where hope flows most strongly, which is why it constantly resists absolute darkness. If you want to know where the main story is and which events are official or canon, you always got to look at Earth Zero. This is where modern DC legends live every day.
Next up is Earth One, the world DC designed for a more modern, realistic retelling of its superheroes. This Earth is the setting for the Earth One graphic novel series. Unlike Earth Zero, which has decades of history, Earth One was like a blank canvas, where big writers like Jeff Johns and Grant Morrison came in and redefined the heroes for a 21st century audience. Here, you won't find flashy costumes and limitless powers. Everything is more grounded and vulnerable. On Earth One, we meet a version of Batman who's just starting out and whose gadgets don't always work right. He might even get hurt fighting common gangsters, and his Alfred is a tough, ex-military man who gives Bruce combat training. This Earth's Superman is a shy young man walking the streets in a hoodie, still unsure if he wants to be a hero. He fears his powers, and the world sees him as an alien. Earth 1 is a symbol of cold reality, a place where being a hero has a cost, and mistakes leave heavy consequences. In this world, we see a Wonder Woman whose Amazonian roots are mixed with modern mythology, and a Green Lantern struggling with his psychological fears deep in space. This Earth is for those who want to experience superheroes without the multiverse complexities, with a serious cinematic tone. In truth, Earth 1 shows us how difficult and different things would be if superheroes really appeared in our world today. This is a world where legends are still being forged, and there's no guarantee of ultimate victory.
Our next stop is Earth 2, a world rooted in the authenticity and heritage of the golden age of comics. This Earth is where superheroes started operating decades before Earth 0. In older versions, this was the home of the Justice Society of America, or JSA. But in the modern world, Earth 2 was transformed into a tragic and epic battlefield. The modern story of this Earth began with a catastrophe, Darkseid's attack on Earth, which forced the Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman of this world to sacrifice themselves to save humanity. Now, in the absence of the main trinity, a new generation of heroes called the Wonders has emerged. We see new versions of Jay Garrick, the Flash, and Alan Scott, the Green Lantern, who must protect the ruins of a war-torn world. Earth 2 is a symbol of legacy and responsibility, a place where being a hero isn't just about having power, but about filling the void left by the legends who are no longer present. The atmosphere here is much more political and violent than Earth 0, and its heroes are forced to deal with the aftermath of a superhero world war.
Earth 3. Now we arrive at Earth 3, the dark and inverted half of the entire multiverse. This is the Earth where the rule, what is good is bad, reigns supreme. Unlike Earth 0, where heroes unite to save the world, on Earth 3, it's the villains who have divided the world among themselves. There's no Justice League here. Instead, we have the Crime Syndicate, ruling humanity with an iron fist. In this world, Earth 3's Bruce Wayne, or Owlman, is a nihilistic and ruthless being who believes nothing in any world has value. The Superman version here is called Ultraman, who gains his strength by eating kryptonite instead of the sun, and he's a sadistic dictator. We also have Superwoman, Wonder Woman's evil counterpart, and Johnny Quick, the Flash's criminal counterpart, who only use their powers for pleasure and dominance. Earth 3 is a symbol of absolute corruption, a place where every spark of hope is extinguished by villains. The only true hero of this Earth was Alexander Luthor, the good version of Lex Luthor, who stood alone against this terrifying syndicate. This Earth shows us what a dark hell the world becomes when godlike powers fall into the hands of people without conscience. Watching Earth 3 is always a scary reminder to the heroes of Earth 0 just how thin the line is between protector and dictator. Earth 4. The next stop is Earth 4, a world known as the home of the heroes acquired from Charlton Comics. This Earth is very special and different structurally because writers like Grant Morrison, in the Multiversity comic, rebuilt it as a world with very precise and somewhat cold physics and logic. This is where heroes act more like scientific and logical algorithms than fantastical myths. The central character of this Earth is Captain Atom, a being with atomic powers who sees time and space simultaneously, and whose mind is beyond the comprehension of ordinary humans. Alongside him are characters like The Question, a paranoid and philosophical detective, Blue Beetle, a genius inventor, and Nightshade. The most interesting point about Earth 4 is that these characters were the original inspiration for the masterpiece Watchmen.
Captain Atom here is essentially the original version from which Dr. Manhattan was created. Earth 4 is a symbol of logic and clarity, a space where political conspiracies and philosophical questions carry more weight than physical battles. In this world, there's no magic or mythical creatures. Everything is rooted in science or human skill. Watching Earth 4 is like reading a profound sci-fi article that shows you how heavy and complex superpowers can be for the human psyche when examined with a realistic and logical perspective. Earth 5. Our next stop is Earth 5, also known as Earth S, the home of the Shazam family and the magical land of Fawcett City. Unlike the Dark Worlds, this Earth has a very nostalgic, colorful, and cheerful tone, directly inspired by the comics from the 1940s. This is where magic rules, and superhero innocence is still alive. The main hero of this world is Captain Marvel, or Shazam, a boy named Billy Batson who transforms into the strongest mortal on Earth by saying a single magic word. Alongside him, the entire Marvel family, including Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr., fight villains like Dr. Savannah and the evil telepathic worm, Mr. Mind. Earth 5 is a symbol of wonder and childlike hope. There's no psychological complexity like Batman's here, or the dictatorships of Earth 3. Battles are fought between absolute good and absolute evil. This Earth reminds us that superheroes were originally created to evoke a sense of wonder, and that magic can defeat darkness even in the most modern eras. Watching Earth 5 is like flipping through an old storybook where the smiling hero always wins the day.
The next stop is Earth 6, a world that is one of DC's most fascinating projects because it was completely reimagined by the Marvel legend Stan Lee. In this Earth, belonging to the Just Imagine comic series, Stan Lee used his creativity to create DC's iconic heroes from scratch, with entirely different origins. In this world, Batman is a black wrestler named Wayne Williams who trains to avenge his father's death, and Superman is a space policeman who accidentally traveled to Earth and is only slightly stronger than humans instead of having limitless powers. Wonder Woman gets her powers from an Incan magic staff, and the Flash is a girl whose DNA was merged with a hummingbird. Earth 6 is a symbol of boundless creativity, a place that shows us how a fixed idea, like the Dark Knight, can be born in a completely new and surprising way in the mind of another writer. Watching this Earth is an exceptional experience for comic fans, as they can see Stan Lee's unique signature at the heart of the DC Universe, and realize that the hero's name doesn't matter. It's the heroic spirit that shines through every costume. Earth 7. The next stop is Earth 7, a world known as the equivalent of the Ultimate Marvel Universe within DC. This Earth was home to heroes called the Retaliators, DC's version of the Avengers, who had a serious and modern tone. But the main significance of Earth 7 lies in its tragedy. This world was the first victim of the multiversity event and was almost completely destroyed by terrifying cosmic entities called the Gentry. The only survivor of this Earth is Thunderer, their version of the god of thunder, who despairingly witnessed the collapse of his entire reality. Earth 8. The next stop is Earth 8, which, unlike the destroyed Earth 7, is the vibrant and classic Marvel world within DC. This is the home of the Retaliators, the Avengers, and the Future Family, the Fantastic Four. On this Earth, the main motto, "With great power comes great responsibility," is clearly felt. The main characters include American Crusader, the America Captain version, Behemoth, who turns into a blue giant instead of Hulk, and Machine Head, the armored genius. Interestingly, unlike Earth 7, which had a dark theme, Earth 8 is full of color and heroic spirit, and major cosmic battles are constantly underway. Earth 8 is a symbol of tribute to the Marvel style. DC shows us in this world that if the Avengers were to be defined within its structure, they would be placed as the pillars of courage and sacrifice on Earth 8. Watching this Earth is like seeing a shared dream of legend unity for fans of both universes. Earth 9.
The next stop is Earth 9, known as the Tangent Universe, one of the most creative parts of the multiverse. On this Earth, the heroes' names are the same as the main world, but their identities and powers are completely reversed. In fact, the writers only took the names and created entirely new characters. On this Earth, the Flash is a teenage girl who can move at the speed of light and control light particles, not a man who just runs. Green Lantern here is a woman who has a magic lantern that allows her to briefly revive the spirits of the dead to say their last words. Also, this Earth's Superman is an evolved genius with terrifying mental powers who rules the whole world to establish peace. Earth 9 is a symbol of redefining words, a place that shows us how a simple name like Batman can turn into a mysterious armored entity that has remained for centuries instead of a detective. Watching this Earth is like solving a puzzle for DC fans, as they must abandon all their previous notions of the heroes and confront completely foreign legends with familiar names.
Earth 10. The next stop is Earth 10, or Earth X, one of the most terrifying and dark worlds in the entire multiverse. This is where history took a terrifying path. The Nazis won World War II, and Hitler, using superhuman powers, established an eternal global empire. On this Earth, we meet the Reichsmen, who are the Nazi-loyal versions of the Justice League. Their leader is Overman, the Nazi version of Superman, whose ship landed in Germany instead of America. Alongside Brunhilde, the Nazi Wonder Woman, and Leatherwing, the fascist Batman, he protects the survival of the Third Reich. The tragic point is that Overman, unlike Hitler, regrets the Nazi atrocities, but is forced to lead this dark world. Earth 10 is a symbol of the corruption of the superhero idea. This world shows us that even the highest powers, if placed in the service of wrong ideologies, can become tools for absolute tyranny. The only glimmer of hope in this hell is the Freedom Fighters group, led by Uncle Sam, who have risen from the ashes of resistance to fight against this superhero dictatorship. Watching Earth 10 is a historical warning. The justice without freedom is nothing but a titanium nightmare.
Earth 11. The next stop is Earth 11, a world known as the gender-reversed world. On this Earth, all laws of physics and history are similar to Earth 0, with the difference that gender rules are completely reversed. Here, women are the ones who run the world as superhero leaders and dominant figures, and men are often marginalized or in supporting roles. The number one hero of this Earth is Superwoman, who comes from the planet Krypton and is considered the most dominant figure of justice. Alongside her, Batwoman, the female version of Bruce Wayne, rules Gotham as the Dark Knight. And Wonder Man is a prince from the island of Elysium who has come to the world of men. Their main team is called the Justice Guild, led by heroes like Aquawoman, Queen of the Seas, and Jesse Quick, the Flash version. Earth 11 is a symbol of balance and reflection. This world shows the audience how flexible DC's myths are and how concepts like sacrifice and power transcend gender. Watching Earth 11 is very engaging for fans because they can see different versions of classic relationships and understand that in any context, the heroic spirit of DC remains constant. Earth 12. The next stop is Earth 12, the paradise for nostalgia fans and the home of the DC Animated Universe, or DCAU. This Earth is exactly where the classic series, Batman the Animated Series, and Justice League Unlimited took place, but with a leap into the future. This is the home of Batman Beyond, or Terry McGinnis, who protects Neo-Gotham under the mentorship of the elderly Bruce Wayne. In this world, classic heroes have retired or passed their roles to a new generation. We meet the Justice League Beyond, a team featuring an older Superman in a black and white suit, alongside characters like Warhawk, son of Hawkgirl and Green Lantern, and Aquagirl, daughter of Aquaman. Technology is paramount on this Earth, and the heroes' suits are equipped with advanced flight systems and AI. Earth 12 is a symbol of animated continuity and legacy. This world shows us how the unique atmosphere of Bruce Timm's animation evolved into a serious cyberpunk world. Watching Earth 12 is like seeing the happy ending for the heroes we grew up with. This is a world where the Bat of Gotham never dies. He simply passes his suit to a worthier youth so that justice prevails even in a distant future. Earth 13. The next stop is Earth 13, the darkest and most mysterious floor of the multiverse, known as the arcane and magical world. On this Earth, time is always frozen at midnight, and instead of science, it's dark magic that dictates the laws of physics. The main hero of this world is Super Demon, a terrifying hybrid of Superman and Etrigan, who was summoned to Earth by a demonic spell instead of a spaceship. He works alongside a team called the Shadow League, whose members are magical versions of the Justice League, such as Enchantress and Deadman. Earth 13 is a symbol of horror and occult science. In this world, Batman uses incantations instead of technological gadgets, and every corner of the streets smells of blood and sulfur. Watching Earth 13 shows the audience what a beautiful nightmare is created when the cosmic aspects of DC are combined with the genre of gothic horror. Earth 14. The next stop is Earth 14, a world known as the world of reckless warriors. This Earth was home to a team called Justice 9, who were actually very violent, militarized, and heavily armed versions of the Justice League. In this world, there is no heroic compassion, and security is only maintained by heavy firepower. Unfortunately, the main significance of Earth 14 is its horrific destruction. This world was targeted by Prophecy, a being seeking to hunt down speedsters and heroes across the multiverse to steal their power to fight a greater threat. In this battle, all the heroes of Earth 14 were massacred, and their reality was virtually erased from the map of existence. Earth 14 is a symbol of extreme militarism and mortality. This world shows that even with an army of armed superheroes, there is no chance of survival against trans-dimensional forces beyond physical comprehension. Watching Earth 14 is a bitter reminder that in the multiverse, there is always a bigger, scarier fish waiting in the dark.
The next stop is Earth 15, a world once known as the perfect Earth. In this world, everything was at the peak of idealism. Heroes had achieved all their goals, crime was eradicated, and a new generation of heroes had replaced the veterans. We saw a team called the Champions of Angor, considered the supreme example of the Justice League in terms of power and ethics. But a catastrophe turned this perfection to ashes. Superboy Prime, one of the most powerful and unstable villains in DC history, attacked this Earth in a fit of madness. He not only massacred the heroes, but used his cosmic power to shatter the entire planet and its solar system to prove that nothing is safe from his wrath. Earth 15 is a symbol of the fall of utopia. This world shows the audience that even the most perfect and happiest worlds can be brought to absolute annihilation in an instant by an external destructive force. Watching Earth 15 is a dark and sad black hole on the multiverse map, reminding us that perfection is always the primary target of destroyers.
The next stop is Earth 16, the world they call the celebrity world. On this Earth, all villains were defeated decades ago by the first generation of heroes, and now absolute peace prevails. But this peace has made the new generation of heroes, the children of the Justice League, virtually unemployed. In this world, characters like Damian Wayne, Batman, and Chris Kent, Superman, have become famous celebrities who spend their time at lavish parties, attending red carpets, and reenacting their parents' old battles, instead of fighting crime. They have godlike powers, but no purpose for using them. Earth 16 is the symbol of the banality of heroism in the absence of challenge. This world shows the audience that if conflict and purpose are removed from the lives of superheroes, they turn into bored, shallow, and empty beings. Watching Earth 16 is a tragic comedy about a world where being a hero is just a brand, not a moral duty.
Earth 17. The next stop is Earth 17, a post-apocalyptic world that survived the ashes of a global nuclear war in 1963. On this Earth, large parts of the planet have become radioactive deserts, and survivors are forced to continue life in a harsh and mutated world. The heroes of this world are members of a team called the Atomic Knights of Justice, based in an underground bunker called Base 4. Their leader is an atomic version of Captain Atom, who, alongside characters wearing lead armor and using post-war technology, tries to restore order to the devastated Earth. Earth 17 is a symbol of survival in the ruins. This world shows the audience that even after a nuclear catastrophe that brought civilization to its knees, there is still a will for justice. Watching Earth 17 is a picture of heroes who have embraced lightning and radioactive sands to prove that humanity does not die even in the toughest conditions.
Earth 18. The next stop is Earth 18, a world that seems to be frozen in the 19th century Wild West. On this Earth, due to mysterious technology left behind by a crashed spaceship, the progression of time has stopped, and the entire planet looks like an epic Western movie. The main heroes here are the Justice Riders, gunslinging versions of the Justice League. We've got the Sheriff of Gotham, Bruce Wayne, who establishes justice with his pistols and detective wit instead of modern gadgets. Alongside him is Wonder Woman, an altruistic sheriff with her lasso, and Wally West, the fastest gun in the entire desert of Earth 18. Earth 18 is a symbol of mythic authenticity in Western attire. This world shows us how well DC heroes fit with the concepts of solitary courage and fighting for the frontier. Watching this Earth is like taking a trip to a classic, dusty world where justice is defined by the sound of gunshots and the thundering hooves of horses.
Next up is Earth 19, a stunning world with a steampunk style, set in the Victorian era of the 19th century. On this Earth, the Industrial Revolution is merged with sparks of superheroism, and the skies above London and Gotham are filled with airships, while the streets are lit by gas lamps. The central hero here is the Batman known as Batman by Gaslight, a detective in 1889 hunting for Jack the Ripper. Alongside him, Diana Prince is a fierce women's rights advocate and philanthropist. And the Accelerated Man, the steampunk version of the Flash, wearing leather clothes and aviator goggles, moves at lightning speed through the foggy alleyways. Earth 19 is a symbol of the glory of the age of steam machines. This world shows us how heroes enforce justice without digital technology and satellites, relying instead on ingenuity and clockwork mechanical devices. Watching Earth 19 is like flipping through a classic novel by Jules Verne, where modern knights with top hats and long capes fight the evils of the colonial era. The next stop is Earth 20, a world that looks like it jumped right out of the adventure novels of the 1930s and 40s, the pulp fiction style. On this Earth, the Justice League is known as the Society of Superheroes, and the heroes have a classic military vibe. This team is led by Doc Fate, an archaeologist and sorcerer who wears a military uniform instead of a long cloak. Alongside him are the Immortal Man, Al Pratt, the Atom, and a pilot version of Green Lantern who takes to the skies in old warplanes to battle threats.
The next stop is Earth 21, a world based on the acclaimed masterpiece by Darwin Cook, The New Frontier. This Earth is set in the late 1950s and acts as a bridge between the end of the Golden Age and the dawn of the Silver Age, where superheroes must regain the public's trust amidst the paranoia of the Cold War and the McCarthy era.
The heroes here include optimistic and classic versions of Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter, known as symbols of the space age. Here, the Justice League is born from the unity of old and new heroes to counter a cosmic threat called the Center.
The next stop is Earth 22, the setting for the eternal masterpiece by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, Kingdom Come. On this Earth, the old Justice League has retired, giving way to a new generation of reckless metahumans who, lacking a moral compass, have turned the world into their personal battleground. The central hero here is Superman, an elderly, heartbroken man who returns after years of isolation to forcibly restore order with the help of Wonder Woman. In contrast, Batman, now using mechanized armor to move, has built an army of robots to control Gotham. The final battle on this Earth is an atomic catastrophe in Kansas that shook the entire multiverse.
The next stop is Earth 23, a world known for its racial diversity and different leadership. On this Earth, the strongest man in the world is Calvin Ellis, Kryptonian name Kal-El, a version of Superman who is black and, in addition to being a superhero, also serves as the President of the United States of America. In this world, he must balance global politics with saving the planet. Alongside him are black versions of Wonder Woman, Nubia, and Batman, forming a powerful and peace-loving team. Interestingly, Calvin Ellis's design is directly inspired by Barack Obama.
Earth 24. The next stop is Earth 24, a world known as one of the most mysterious parts of the multiverse map. This Earth was introduced during the Multiversity events as the home of a team called the Justice Society Infinite, a mix of classic heroes with eternal and metaphysical designs. In this world, the line between myth and reality is very thin, and heroes are engaged in abstract and cosmic concepts rather than street fights. Characters like Wonder Woman and Green Lantern have a more godlike status here, as if they emerged from carved Greek statues to protect the eternal balance of existence.
Earth 25 is the next stop, a world known as the home of the Silver Age heroes of ABC Comics, owned by Alan Moore within DC. This Earth is also known as the world of Tom Strong and has a completely scientific, adventurous, and optimistic atmosphere. The central hero here is Tom Strong, a man who has reached the peak of human potential using a combination of pure science and magical herbs, and has protected the world with his intellect and physical strength for over 100 years. Alongside him are his family and a team of scientist heroes who grapple with cosmic and scientific puzzles instead of brutal battles.
Earth 26. The next stop is Earth 26, the most fantastical and funniest world in the multiverse, where the laws of physics operate not on gravity, but on the rules of classic animation and Looney Tunes cartoons. On this Earth, nobody truly dies, and injuries are healed with a funny sound effect. The main hero of this world is Captain Carrot, a rabbit who gains super strength by eating radioactive carrots. He leads a team called the Zoo Crew, whose members are animals with superpowers, from Yankee Poodle with magical powers to Alley Cat, who is a feline version of Wonder Woman. Earth 28. The next stop is Earth 28, a world known as one of the darkest and most insane psychological aspects of the multiverse. On this Earth, a biological or psychological catastrophe has caused all its inhabitants to succumb to absolute madness, and its heroes are their wildest versions. In this world, the Justice League, instead of protecting, has become ruthless hunters who use fear and torture for survival. We encounter a version of Batman who has completely crossed ethical boundaries and turned into a strategic serial killer. This Earth is a vision of what a slaughterhouse the world would become if the darkness within the heroes overcame their light. Earth 29. The next stop is Earth 29,
a world known as Bizarro World, where its laws are based on reverse logic. On this Earth, being ugly is beautiful, being bad is good, and everything that makes sense on Earth Zero seems completely absurd here. In this world, the Justice League is known as the Unjustice League of Un-America. Their leader is Bizarro Superman, who tries to be a hero through unintentional acts of destruction instead of saving people. Alongside him is Bizarro Batman, the worst detective in the world who always reaches the wrong conclusions. The planet is cube-shaped instead of round, and its sun emits a weak blue light.
The next stop is Earth 30, the setting for one of the most famous what-if stories in DC history, Superman Red Sun. On this Earth, Kal-El's spaceship landed on a collective farm in the Soviet Union instead of the fields of Kansas, and he became the hero of Stalin and a symbol of socialist power instead of fighting for truth and justice the American way. In this world, Superman, instead of hiding, becomes the leader of the Soviet Union and establishes peace with an iron fist across the globe, except for America. Opposite him is Lex Luthor, the American genius who dedicates his life to inventing weapons to destroy this red threat. Interestingly, this Earth's Batman is an anti-government partisan in a Russian fur hat who fights against Superman's dictatorship. Earth 31. The next stop is Earth 31, a world submerged in water, known as the Pirate World. On this Earth, due to a massive environmental catastrophe, sea levels have risen and continents are submerged. Consequently, human civilization continues on colossal ships and floating cities. The central hero here is Captain Leatherwing, the pirate version of Batman, who sails the seas aboard his famous vessel, the Flying Fox, searching for justice and, of course, lost treasures. Alongside him are Diana Prince as the Queen of the Sea Bandits and Felicidad West, the pirate version of The Flash, who form a team known as the League of Pirates. Earth 32. The next stop is Earth 32, a world known as the Land of Amalgam Heroes. On this Earth, lightning, power rings, and laboratory accidents have occurred simultaneously, causing the characteristics of two or more heroes to merge into one body, creating entirely new identities. The main character here is Bat Lantern, Bruce Wayne, but one who in that dark alley was chosen by a power ring instead of fear. Now, with an iron will and an armored green suit, he protects Gotham not just with fear, but with light. Alongside him, Black Canary has merged with the powers of Wonder Woman, forming a team called the Justice Titans, where every member is a dual arsenal of abilities.
The next stop is Earth 33, the most unique and yet most familiar point in the entire multiverse, because this Earth is actually our real world. On this Earth, there are no superheroes, no one flies, and no power rings work. Here, all DC heroes are merely fictional characters in comic books. The only superhero of this Earth is Ultra Comics, a character created by the writers to be a bridge between the comic world and our world. He comes to life through the minds of the readers. On Earth 33, the real power lies not in muscles, but in the imagination and the pen of the writers, meaning the events we write here determine the fate of the entire multiverse. Earth 34. The next stop is Earth 34, a world that serves as DC's tribute to independent comics and the sci-fi atmosphere of past decades. This Earth is home to a team called the Cosmo Knights, whose heroes are rebuilt versions of classic archetypes, but with a highly cosmic and technological appearance. The central character of this Earth is Savior, a being with godlike powers who closely resembles Superman, but whose responsibility extends beyond one planet to protecting his entire star system from interstellar threats. Alongside him are characters in shining armor and energy weapons who look like they stepped out of old Star Trek posters. Earth 35. The next stop is Earth 35, a world known as an artificial world, and it's actually DC's tribute to concepts created by the great writer Alan Moore, especially the Awesome Comics series. This Earth operates under completely different laws than the main world, like a clever reconstructed copy of Golden Age ideas. The heroes of this world are members of a team called the Super Americans. Characters like Supremo, this Earth's version of Superman, Starlight, and Mercury Man are present, whose designs are reminiscent of classic heroes, but with modern psychological layers. This Earth has the feel of a recycled idea that has been brought to life. The next stop is Earth 36, a world that serves as DC's tribute to the Big Bang comic series. This Earth has a very classic, simple, and faithful atmosphere to the Golden and Silver Ages, but with characters whose names and appearances are slightly different from what we know. The heroes of this world are members of a team called the Justice Nine. They were led by Optiman, this Earth's version of Superman, who sadly sacrificed himself during an attack by the Gentry creatures. Alongside him are characters like the Flashmaster, the Flash version, War Woman, the Wonder Woman version, and Iron Knight, all symbols of unquestionable purity and justice. Earth 37. The next stop is Earth 37, a cyberpunk, violent, and conspiracy-laden world based on the visual and narrative style of the famous writer Howard Chaykin. On this Earth, technological progress is accompanied by a decline in morals, and cities are jungles of iron and neon run by corrupt corporations. The heroes of this world are members of a team called the Seven Soldiers of Victory, which are very different from classic heroes. We have thrill killer Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, fighting anarchists and corrupt police in an alternate 1960s. Superman and Wonder Woman are absent here, and the burden of justice rests on humans who survive with street skills and mechanical gadgets. Earth 38. The next stop is Earth 38, a world shaped by the great writer and artist John Byrne. On this Earth, unlike the main world, time passes in real time. This means if Batman and Superman were introduced in 1938, they have now aged, retired, and passed their roles to their children and grandchildren. The heroes of this Earth witness the evolution of a family legacy. We see an elderly Superman and Batman now overseeing the activities of the next generations like Nightwing and Supergirl in the 80s and 90s. Here, technology and society have grown alongside the superheroes, creating a unique historical continuity. Earth 39. The next stop is Earth 39, a world where superheroism has a deep connection to wearable technology. On this Earth, most heroes don't have inherent powers. Instead, they gain their abilities from ultra-advanced devices called WAND agents, magical technological vests and gadgets designed by genius scientists. The central character here is Cyclotron, a hero whose power comes from an atomic core in his armor. Alongside him are versions of the Atom and other scientist heroes who have used engineering knowledge to build vests that allow them to control molecules or manipulate energy. This Earth has the vibe of modern techno-spy stories. Earth 40. The next stop is Earth 40, a dark and ominous world that is the opposite of Earth 20, the world of pulp heroes. On this Earth, there is no Justice League or superhero society. Instead, it is the villains and monsters who rule the world and are known as the Society of Supervillains. The leader of this nightmare world is Vandal Savage, who rules over others with thousand-year-old cunning and absolute ruthlessness. Alongside him are evil pulp versions of characters like Dr. Savannah, the Mad Genius, Blockbuster, and Lady Shiva. Interestingly, this world is in an eternal war with Earth 20, and the two Earths collide every few years to stage the ultimate battle between absolute good and absolute evil. Earth 41. The next stop is Earth 41, a harsh, muscular, and dark world that serves as DC's official tribute to the style of 90s Image comics, works like Spawn and Wildcats.
On this Earth, heroes deliver justice in the most brutal way possible, not with smiles, but with scowling faces, huge guns, and spiky armor. The heroes of this world are members of a team called the Nimrod Squad. The central character is Scorpion, this Earth's version of Batman, who strongly resembles Spawn alongside Night Fist and characters with superhuman military appearances. This Earth's Superman, called Dino Cop, a powerful dinosaur police officer, represents the wild and creative fantasies of this era.
Earth 42. The next stop is Earth 42, a world that at first glance looks like a superhero daycare. On this Earth, all DC heroes and villains are tiny, cute, miniature versions of themselves, like little people figures. They live in small cities, and their battles mostly resemble children's games. But behind this fantasy exterior lies a horrible secret. These little heroes are actually inanimate, artificial beings created by cosmic technology to serve as living toys for trans-dimensional entities. They have no understanding of real death or pain until the evil entities of the multiverse enter their world and their innocence is shattered in the most horrific way possible. Earth 43. The next stop is Earth 43, a world known as the Vampire League. This Earth is the setting for a nightmare where Batman, to defeat Dracula, was forced to become a vampire, but was ultimately overcome by the bloodlust and turned all members of the Justice League into vampires too. In this world, the Justice League is known as the Blood League. They're led by Batman, a horrifying version with fangs and real wings. Alongside him are Ultraman, the vampire Superman, and Wonder Woman, who see the world as a source of nourishment and a farm of blood instead of a place to save humanity. Earth 44. The next stop is Earth 44, a world where there are no flesh and blood superheroes, and mechanical science has replaced biology. On this Earth, all Justice League members died in an accident, and to fill their void, Dr. Will Magnus, the robotics genius, created their intelligent robotic counterparts called the Metal League. The leader of this team is Gold Superman, a Superman made of gold, who operates alongside characters like Iron Batman, Platinum Wonder Woman, and Mercury Flash. These robots not only have the powers of the original heroes, but due to their metallic structure and advanced AI, they're immune to pain and human emotions, though they constantly struggle with the crisis of identity and the lack of a soul.
The next stop is Earth 45, a world where the concept of a superhero has become a terrifying commercial product. On this Earth, 3 scientists tried to use thought-to-reality technology to create a being named Superdoom to be sold as a global brand and a symbol of profitability. But the idea became a catastrophe. Superdoom, instead of a hero, turned into a soulless, armored monster who, influenced by the greed of major corporations, began destroying anything that conflicted with his commercial interests. This being is essentially an evil robotic version of Superman with no moral compass, whose sole purpose is the survival of his own brand across the multiverse. The next stop is Earth 46, a world known as one of the most mysterious and somewhat terrifying undiscovered Earths. On this Earth, the Justice League, instead of shining heroes, has turned into a team of psychotic, brutal partisans who have crossed the boundaries of madness. The story of this Earth revolves around Batman, Bruce Wayne, who, after a mental breakdown, has turned Gotham into a giant asylum and enforces order through torturous methods. Alongside him are versions of heroes whose powers have caused them to drift away from humanity, turning them into isolated and dangerous beings. The next stop is Earth 47, the happiest and most colorful world in the entire multiverse, frozen in the middle of a music festival and the hippie culture of the 60s. On this Earth, superhero powers are mixed with psychedelic magic and free love culture, giving everything a trippy, dreamy vibe. The leader of this world is Sunshine Superman, a man with long hair and a peace sign on his chest, who uses positive energy waves instead of brute force. He operates alongside the Love Syndicate of Dream World, the hippie version of the Justice League, whose members like Shooting Star and Magic Lantern have established global peace using magical powers and music.
The next stop is Earth 48, a world known as the Super Soldier Factory. On this Earth, the concept of a normal human does not exist. Due to genetic manipulation and artificial evolution, all inhabitants of this planet possess superhuman powers, and their entire civilization is built upon warfare and absolute physical power. The heroes of this world are known as the Forerunners, beings designed for cosmic battles. They are led by Lord Volt and Lady Quark, who possess devastating electrical and atomic powers. This world is essentially a planet-sized military barracks, where heroes are trained not to administer justice, but to achieve victory in interdimensional wars. The next stop is Earth 49, known as the Injustice World. As you said, this is where Superman, after a horrifying tragedy, the killing of Lois Lane and the destruction of Metropolis by the Joker, crosses his eternal red line and kills the Joker. This event marks the beginning of Kal-El's moral downfall and his transformation into a global dictator known as the High Counselor. On this Earth, the Justice League is divided into two camps, those who follow Superman and his government of absolute order, the regime, and those who, led by Batman, form the insurgency group to restore freedom. The war on this Earth is not between good and evil, but between two old friends and two different ideologies, enforced security versus dangerous freedom. The final stop before the ultimate destination is Earth 50, the world that is home to a terrifying version of the Justice League called the Justice Lords. On this Earth, following the execution of Lex Luthor by Superman in retaliation for the Flash's murder, the heroes decided to no longer trust the law and took over as absolute rulers, establishing peace with an iron fist. In this world, crime is practically zero, but at the cost of the complete loss of free speech and democracy. Justice Lord Superman uses lobotomies to turn his enemies into harmless beings, and Batman has turned Gotham into a police state where even minor dissent is met with life imprisonment. They believe that tyranny is the only way to save humanity from itself.
The ultimate stop is Earth 51, a world known as the end of everything. This Earth was the site of a colossal cosmic catastrophe called the Great Disaster that completely wiped out human civilization, leaving the planet to nature and mutated animals that now talk and walk like humans. The central hero of this world is Kamandi, the last boy on Earth, a teenager raised in the Command D bunker who is now seeking survival in the revival of humanity's legacy in a savage world. Alongside him, a version of OMAC, One-Man Army Corps, the last remaining technology from the Golden Age, protects the shaky balance of this post-apocalyptic Earth. Earth 52. The honorary and secret stop is Earth 52, a world that doesn't appear on official maps, but is known as the center of gravity and the connector of all realities. This Earth is actually a symbol of continuity and time in DC, and its name comes from the number of weeks in a year and the number of initial multiverse worlds, signifying a complete cycle. On this Earth, no specific hero rules. Instead, it's a space where all 51 other worlds converge. This is the location of the Monitors, cosmic overseers, who, from the Mount of Justice, watch over the flow of time and changes in the multiverse to ensure no world falls out of balance. All right, folks, that wraps up our whirlwind tour through the 52 DC Earths. From the land of Nazis to the pirate world and the Superman who is president, we saw that the multiverse isn't just a theory, it's an infinite canvas where every corner holds a hero with a different destiny. Now it's your turn. If you could live on just one of these Earths for a day, which one would you pick? Earth 12 in its cyberpunk Batman future, or Earth 26 in the cartoon world of Captain Carrot? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this interdimensional tour, smash that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and hit the bell icon because our next stop is the dark multiverse and the nightmare versions of Batman that you absolutely cannot miss. Until the next video, be the hero of your own world. Peace out.